Have you ever felt trapped within the walls of your own thoughts, like a prisoner of endless worries, what-ifs, and imagined scenarios? Overthinking is an ancient struggle, one as common today as it was in the time of Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus. But what if there was a way to quiet this mental storm, a method to rise above overthinking with calm and clarity? Today, we invite you to explore 10 Stoic techniques designed to help you reclaim peace over your mind, leaving behind the exhausting loops of worry and anxiety. Imagine what it would feel like to watch your thoughts pass by like clouds in the sky, unaffected by each passing worry. Picture yourself learning the art of gratitude, focusing only on the present moment, or being fully immersed in the simplicity of your daily actions. These are not distant ideals. They are techniques that Stoicism teaches us to apply even in the busiest and most overwhelming moments of life. Each of these steps is a bridge, guiding you from stress to stillness, from overthinking to control. Stay with us as we dive into each principle, exploring timeless wisdom to help you conquer overthinking, master your thoughts, and unlock the power of a Stoic mind. In the end, you'll discover that the key to a calm mind isn't hidden in complex theories, but in simple, actionable practices that empower you each day. Let's begin this journey. 1. Shift your perspective to gratitude. Do you often find yourself focusing on what's missing rather than what's present? One of the greatest barriers to peace is our tendency to concentrate on what we lack, what might go wrong, or what has yet to be achieved. This mental habit leads us down a path where our worries grow, overshadowing the joys of the present moment. But what if we could shift our perspective to one of gratitude, grounding ourselves in the abundance of now? In Stoicism, this is a powerful practice that reminds us of the beauty already present in life, even as we continue to pursue our goals. To practice gratitude, consider this. Every day, no matter how challenging, contains moments of beauty, acts of kindness, or simple pleasures that we often overlook. Seneca once advised, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future." By focusing on what we have rather than what we lack, we start to see life through a lens of fulfillment rather than scarcity. In this way, gratitude becomes a refuge from the storms of overthinking. So, how can we cultivate gratitude in a way that eases overthinking? Start by acknowledging 3 things each day that you are genuinely grateful for. They don't need to be grand or life-changing. In fact, the simplest moments often hold the most meaning. Perhaps it's the warmth of a morning coffee, the comfort of a favorite book, or a kind word from a friend. These small recognitions shift your mind's focus from a cycle of anxiety to one of appreciation, allowing you to see that even amidst challenges, there is much to cherish. This practice is more than just a distraction from overthinking. It's a redirection. When you begin to look for things to be grateful for, you start to break the mental loop of not enough. Stoicism teaches us that true contentment comes from recognizing the value of what we have, not from constantly seeking what we do not. This shift in perspective is subtle yet profound. It turns our minds away from longing and redirects them toward abundance. Why does this Stoic practice work so well against overthinking? In truth, gratitude pulls us out of the abstract what-ifs and into the concrete what is. It serves as a gentle reminder that overthinking often clouds our perception, making problems seem larger than they are. By embracing gratitude, we lift ourselves above these clouds, seeing life's landscape with a fresh, appreciative gaze. Over time, gratitude rewires our mental focus, building a habit of noticing the good and releasing the weight of worry. So, the next time you find yourself lost in overthinking, ask yourself, what can I be grateful for right now? Notice how this simple question shifts your mood and clears your mind. Gratitude is a pathway to the present, a way to calm the noise and discover peace. 2. Focus on effort, not outcome. How often do we obsess over results, fearing failure or disappointment? Overthinking often arises when our minds drift into the future, imagining outcomes that we cannot control. We live in a world where success is often measured by results, be it grades, job promotions, or social achievements. But in Stoicism, the emphasis is not on the outcome, rather, it's on the integrity of our effort and our intent behind each action. This shift in focus can provide immense relief to the overthinking mind, allowing us to act without the paralyzing fear of failure. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, reminded us with the words, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." This speaks to a profound truth. The value of our actions lies in their sincerity, not in the recognition they receive. When we focus on doing our best in each moment, we liberate ourselves from the heavy shadow of what if. Instead of living in fear of the future, we bring our attention to the here and now, finding fulfillment in the quality of our work. How can you apply this shift in perspective in your daily life? Whenever you feel the familiar pull of anxiety over what could happen or what others might think, take a moment to pause and redirect your mind. Ask yourself, am I putting in my best effort? And am I acting in alignment with my values? By asking these questions, you gently bring your focus back to the present task, allowing yourself to act without the burden of future worry. For example, imagine you're working on a presentation for your job, and the thought of how it will be received begins to cause you stress. Instead of dwelling on the outcome, focus on crafting the presentation to the best of your ability. Pour your attention into making each slide clear, each point thoughtful, and each sentence purposeful. You may find that with this approach, your sense of anxiety begins to fade, replaced by a quiet satisfaction in your efforts. Why does Stoicism emphasize effort over outcome as a remedy for overthinking? In truth, we cannot control outcomes, we can only control the quality of our actions. Stoicism teaches us to recognize this distinction, which frees us from the need to constantly predict, control, or anticipate what might happen. This focus on effort doesn't mean we lack ambition or stop setting goals. Rather, it means we prioritize the process and act with purpose. When we center our minds on our actions, we empower ourselves to live fully in the present, unfazed by the uncertainties that lie ahead. By redirecting your mind to focus on your actions, you take a powerful stance against overthinking. Each time you find yourself anxious about a future result, remember this question: am I focusing on what I can control, my effort? When you learn to anchor yourself in your actions, overthinking loses its grip, and you reclaim the mental space needed for calm, deliberate focus. This leads us to the next principle, a method designed to tackle the intimidating complexity of overwhelming thoughts. When our minds feel cluttered with large, daunting tasks, what steps can we take to find clarity and regain our sense of peace? Let's continue. 3. Break down overwhelming thoughts into actionable steps. Do you ever feel crushed by the weight of a daunting problem, unsure where to begin? When overthinking strikes, it can feel as if we're trapped under a boulder of worries and tasks, each one adding to a sense of pressure and paralysis. Overwhelming thoughts are common in a world that demands so much of us, professionally, personally, socially. However, Stoicism teaches us a simple yet profound truth. When confronted with a large problem, the path forward is to break it down into smaller, manageable steps. Marcus Aurelius, known as the Philosopher King, advised, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In these words lies a powerful strategy for overcoming overthinking. Instead of viewing our challenges as insurmountable, we are encouraged to tackle them one piece at a time. This method is more than just a way to solve problems. It's a way to engage with life's complexities while staying grounded and calm. How can you start breaking down overwhelming thoughts in your daily life? When faced with a big challenge, pause and ask yourself, what's the next smallest step I can take? Focus only on that single action. Whether it's writing the first sentence of a report, making one phone call, or organizing your thoughts on paper, the key is to avoid getting trapped in the whole problem and instead direct your energy toward the first, most achievable step. Consider a scenario where you're preparing for an important project at work. The thought of all that's required might leave you feeling overwhelmed and anxious, leading to unproductive overthinking. Instead, take a Stoic approach by breaking down the task into smaller actions. Outline your project structure, gather necessary materials, and complete one section at a time. Each small action will ease your mind, chipping away at the large problem and providing you with a sense of progress. Why does Stoicism emphasize the power of small, actionable steps to combat overthinking? In Stoic philosophy, every action we take is a step toward cultivating resilience and self-discipline. By taking small steps, we ground ourselves in the present, choosing to act rather than to dwell in anxiety about the future. This approach builds momentum, allowing us to transform the immovable boulder of worry into manageable pieces that we can handle one by one. In time, what once seemed overwhelming becomes a clear path forward, each step guided by purpose and clarity. Overthinking loses its power when we redirect our thoughts from the abstract to the concrete, from the future to the now. The next time you feel buried under the weight of a complex problem, remind yourself, what is the one small step I can take right now? With this practice, you shift from being overwhelmed by thoughts to being empowered by actions, reclaiming a sense of peace and control over your mind. With the burden of overwhelming thoughts lightened, we move to the next principle, visualizing overthinking as an external force. How can we detach ourselves from these invasive thoughts and find calm amidst the mental chaos? Let's explore the Stoic approach further. 4. Visualize overthinking as an external force. What if you could observe your thoughts without letting them consume you? Overthinking has a way of creeping in, often starting with a single worry and expanding until it clouds our entire mental landscape. In Stoicism, thoughts are seen as temporary, external influences, something separate from our core selves. When we view our overthinking as an external force, we learn to observe our thoughts rather than being consumed by them. Marcus Aurelius wisely noted, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." This idea underpins a powerful Stoic technique, visualizing thoughts as separate, transient entities. Imagine that your worries are like clouds drifting across a clear sky, or waves rolling onto the shore. You stand as the mountain, unshaken by these passing clouds or tides. Recognizing that thoughts are not permanent, nor truly a part of who we are, can give us the mental space to watch them without becoming entangled. How can you put this visualization technique into practice? When you notice yourself starting to overthink, pause and picture your thoughts as something external, a background noise or a fog that you can observe from a distance. Some people find it helpful to imagine placing each thought inside a bubble and watching it float away, or to visualize thoughts as leaves drifting down a stream. By doing this, you reinforce the understanding that your thoughts are temporary and do not need to control your mood or actions. Picture this: you're lying awake at night, replaying a conversation you had earlier, wondering if you said the right thing. Instead of diving deeper into that worry, try this Stoic practice. See the thought as a passing cloud. acknowledge it, and then let it drift on without attachment. This simple visualization reminds you that thoughts, like clouds, are transient and powerless unless we choose to hold on to them. Why does Stoicism encourage us to see thoughts as external to ourselves? In Stoicism, the mind is like a garden. We can choose which thoughts to nurture and which to release. By seeing thoughts as external forces, we cultivate the ability to detach, which brings clarity and peace. This mental practice doesn't ignore thoughts or suppress them. Instead, it helps us observe them without over-identifying with them. Just as a mountain remains still as clouds pass, so can we remain steady as our thoughts come and go. When we approach overthinking with this sense of detachment, we gain control over our mental landscape. Thoughts lose their power to disturb, and we find ourselves in a place of calm, aware that these worries are fleeting. Each time you find yourself caught in overthinking, ask yourself, can I let this thought drift by without engaging? This approach frees the mind from unnecessary noise, helping you cultivate resilience and stillness. With a newfound ability to observe our thoughts without attachment, let's explore the next Stoic principle, the power of voluntary discomfort. By facing small challenges, we train our minds to adapt to discomfort, reducing the need for overthinking when facing life's uncertainties. 5. Practice voluntary discomfort. Could embracing discomfort be the key to a resilient mind? When faced with uncertainty or discomfort, our minds often race to prepare for every possible outcome, imagining various scenarios and conjuring what-ifs in an attempt to avoid pain. Yet, in Stoicism, rather than shying away from discomfort, we are encouraged to confront it directly. Voluntary discomfort is a practice that builds our tolerance for hardship, teaching us that challenges are not to be feared, but faced. By training ourselves to handle discomfort in controlled situations, we grow more resilient and reduce the need to overthink in everyday life. Marcus Aurelius once remarked, "The art of living is more like wrestling than dancing." Life, in his view, is best approached with the readiness to grapple with its challenges rather than avoiding them. By introducing small, voluntary discomforts into our lives, we learn that we can endure much more than we might assume. The practice is not about causing unnecessary suffering, but rather strengthening our mental resolve by choosing to experience controlled discomforts. How can you incorporate voluntary discomfort into your routine? Start by introducing small challenges into your day. These can be as simple as taking a cold shower, skipping a comfortable commute for a brisk walk, or going without your phone for an hour. The specific action is less important than the mindset. The aim is to willingly choose discomfort, recognizing that it is temporary and within your control. As you encounter these minor hardships, pay attention to your thoughts and emotions. Notice how your mind reacts and learns to adapt, realizing that discomfort is not as overwhelming as overthinking often makes it appear. Imagine waking up in the morning and, instead of heading straight for a warm shower, you decide on a cold one. Initially, your mind may rebel, trying to convince you to return to comfort. But as you stand under the cold water, you realize that the discomfort is temporary and bearable. Each second strengthens your tolerance, demonstrating to your mind that discomfort need not be avoided at all costs. By practicing these small acts, you start building a reservoir of resilience that will support you in more challenging situations. Why does Stoicism value voluntary discomfort as a way to combat overthinking? Stoicism teaches us that much of our anxiety and overthinking stems from our fear of potential discomfort. By deliberately embracing discomfort, we train our minds to face challenges without the habitual need to dwell on them or anticipate every possible outcome. This practice prepares us to stay calm when unexpected difficulties arise, reducing the mind's tendency to spiral into what-ifs. Over time, we come to understand that discomfort, while unpleasant, is often less daunting than the mind imagines. Each time you introduce a small discomfort into your routine, remind yourself, this is a training ground for resilience. You are showing yourself that you can face life's challenges head-on with a steady mind. When you build a habit of confronting discomfort, overthinking loses its edge. You become less reactive to change and uncertainty, finding peace in the knowledge that you can handle whatever comes your way. Having explored voluntary discomfort, we turn next to a Stoic technique that draws on a powerful mental exercise, creating a designated worry period. How might setting aside time to confront our worries help us regain control over our mental space? Let's continue. 6. Create a worry period. Could setting aside time for worries free your mind from their constant presence? It's common for worries to linger in the background, surfacing at inconvenient times when we're trying to focus on work, enjoy time with loved ones, or simply relax. Left unchecked, these concerns create mental clutter, leading us to feel overwhelmed and unfocused. In Stoicism, however, we find a practical approach. Instead of letting worries roam freely, we can designate a specific worry period each day to focus intentionally on our concerns. This technique draws from Stoic wisdom on self-discipline and focus. Epictetus once said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." In other words, we must prioritize our peace of mind over others' judgments, even when it comes to our fears and anxieties. By setting aside time each day solely for our worries, we acknowledge their presence but restrict them to a specific period, preventing them from hijacking our entire day. How can you establish a worry period effectively? Begin by choosing a brief time each day, perhaps 15 or 20 minutes, where you allow yourself to fully dive into any concerns or anxieties. This period could be in the afternoon, a time when many find themselves naturally reflecting on the day's events. During this designated time, give your worries your full attention. Write them down if it helps. Ask yourself questions about each worry. What am I really concerned about? How likely is it to happen? Is there anything I can do about it? This reflection often reveals that many worries are either minor or unrealistic. You'll likely find that some concerns have simple solutions, while others may be less urgent than they first appeared. Once the worry period ends, intentionally set aside these thoughts for the remainder of the day. If new worries emerge outside this time, remind yourself, these can wait until my worry period. This practice retrains your mind to defer worries rather than letting them interrupt other moments of your day. Why does Stoicism support the idea of a designated time for worry? Stoicism teaches us to bring intentionality to our thoughts, recognizing that allowing worries to run wild ultimately disturbs our peace. By setting boundaries on when and how we engage with our concerns, we create a sense of order in our mental lives. This practice doesn't eliminate worries, but rather contains them, reducing the power they have over our thoughts and emotions. Over time, this scheduled approach helps us to respond to worries more calmly and objectively. When you establish a worry period, you begin to manage your mind's tendency to spiral into overthinking. The next time a worry surfaces unexpectedly, you can calmly remind yourself that its time will come. Through this practice, your worries lose their urgency, and you regain control over your day. Each time you pause to think, remember, I will give my worries the attention they need, but only when I choose. This simple boundary creates mental freedom, allowing you to focus fully on the present. With this worry period in place, let us turn our attention to a mindset that brings us back to the now, focusing on redirecting our energy toward what we can engage with presently. In the next Stoic technique, we'll explore how immersing ourselves in the present moment can quiet the noise of overthinking. Let's continue. 7. Refocus your energy by engaging in the present. Are you truly present, or is your mind lost in the noise of what if? In today's world, the mind often feels like a browser with too many open tabs, each thought pulling us in a different direction, creating a constant hum of distraction. Overthinking thrives on this mental multitasking, driving our attention away from the present and into a maze of what-ifs and maybes. Stoicism teaches us to counter this habit by consciously grounding ourselves in the present, redirecting our energy to what is directly in front of us. Seneca reminds us, true happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. This Stoic wisdom invites us to shift our focus from imagined possibilities to the richness of now. By redirecting our energy, we don't just distract ourselves, we take command of our attention, aligning it with immediate actions and regaining control over our thoughts. How can you practice refocusing on the present? Begin by choosing a small, engaging task that demands your attention, whether it's organizing your workspace, cooking a meal, or taking a brisk walk outside. Engage fully in this activity, allowing yourself to immerse in each movement, each step. If your mind starts to wander, gently redirect it back to the task. Feel the present moment. Notice the sounds, the textures, the sensations of being fully engaged. This practice brings your mind away from future worries and back to what's right in front of you. Imagine you're sitting at your desk, feeling overwhelmed by tasks piling up. Instead of letting your thoughts spiral into worry, pick one small task and give it your complete attention. Organize a few papers, focus on a short email, or tidy up your immediate space. By channeling your energy into just one action, you shift from a state of mental chaos to one of mindful clarity. The mind, once scattered, becomes grounded. Why does Stoicism advocate for grounding ourselves in the present to combat overthinking? In Stoic philosophy, presence is a form of power. When we engage fully with the present, we reclaim our mental space, shifting away from hypothetical outcomes toward practical actions. This grounding in the now is an act of mental discipline that teaches us to appreciate the process, not just the destination. Over time, we learn to quiet the mental noise, recognizing that our energy is best spent in the reality of now, not the abstraction of later. Each time you practice refocusing your energy, ask yourself, am I here or am I somewhere else in my mind? The question gently brings you back, reminding you that peace is found not in worrying about the future, but in fully living the present. By redirecting your energy, overthinking loses its hold, and the mind finds calm in simply being here and now. Having grounded ourselves in the present, we now turn to a powerful Stoic practice rooted in acceptance, embracing impermanence. In the next section, we'll explore how recognizing the fleeting nature of thoughts helps us let go of worries that no longer serve us. Let's continue. 8. Embrace impermanence and practice letting go. Can you let go of thoughts as easily as they come? Our minds often cling to thoughts, especially worries and regrets, as if they're permanent fixtures in our lives. This tendency to hold on tight is fertile ground for overthinking, trapping us in repetitive loops of past events or hypothetical futures. Stoicism, however, teaches us to see everything, including our thoughts, as transient. Epictetus reminds us, "He who fears death will never do anything worthy of a man who is alive," hinting at the Stoic belief that impermanence is not to be feared, but embraced as part of life's natural flow. Embracing impermanence means acknowledging that thoughts, like all things, will come and go. This understanding frees us from unnecessary attachment to thoughts that no longer serve us, allowing us to practice letting go. When we release these attachments, we create space for clarity, calm, and a deeper acceptance of life's changing nature. How can you cultivate a habit of letting go? Imagine each thought as a leaf drifting on a stream, or as a cloud passing across a vast sky. Whenever you find yourself stuck on a particular worry or regret, visualize it flowing past you, carried away by the natural current of impermanence. This mental exercise reinforces the reality that no thought is permanent. It's only passing through. In moments of overthinking, pause and remind yourself that this too will pass, allowing yourself to observe the thought without clinging to it. Consider a time when you were troubled by a lingering worry. Instead of repeatedly analyzing the thought, practice this visualization. See the worry as a leaf on a river floating downstream, beyond your reach. Each time it drifts away, a sense of peace follows, reminding you that thoughts are visitors, not permanent residents. Letting go is not about forcing thoughts out, but gently allowing them to move on, trusting that the mind will find clarity when it's free of unnecessary mental clutter. Why does Stoicism emphasize the practice of letting go? In Stoic philosophy, attachment to fleeting thoughts distracts us from living fully in the present. By embracing impermanence, we develop resilience to change and cultivate a calm acceptance of life's ebbs and flows. This mindset shifts our relationship with our thoughts, reminding us that we are not defined by them. Instead, we learn to see thoughts as momentary and outside of our core identity. Whenever you find yourself trapped in overthinking, ask, "Is this thought serving me, or can I let it go?" This question brings you back to the present, empowering you to release mental burdens and embrace life's natural flow. With each practice, you'll find that letting go becomes easier and overthinking loses its grip, replaced by an enduring sense of calm and balance. With this practice of letting go, we turn now to another powerful Stoic strategy, creating a worry period. By setting boundaries on when and how we engage with concerns, we reclaim control over our mental space. Let's explore this next technique. 9. Reflect on the transience of life. Will today's worries still matter a year from now? When we're caught in the throes of overthinking, it often feels as if each thought, each worry, and each decision holds monumental importance. But Stoicism invites us to zoom out, to view life as a fleeting journey in which most concerns are temporary. By reflecting on life's transience, we can reframe our perspective, reducing the mental grip that overthinking has on us. Seneca wrote, "We are not given a short life, but make it so by wasting time." This Stoic wisdom encourages us to consider how we spend our mental energy, whether on meaningful pursuits or on fleeting anxieties. In Stoicism, the concept of memento mori, or remember you will die, serves as a grounding reminder of life's brevity. By contemplating our finite existence, we gain clarity on what truly deserves our attention. Suddenly, many worries lose their urgency, and we begin to see that much of our overthinking consumes time that could be spent living fully. How can you incorporate reflections on transience into your daily life? A practical way to practice this perspective is to regularly ask yourself if your current worry will matter in a year's time. Imagine the worry fading as time progresses, diminishing in significance as your life unfolds. This exercise can bring immediate relief, helping you realize that many of the things consuming your mind are less critical than they feel. Consider a moment when you felt weighed down by a decision or regret. By visualizing your life from a broader perspective, whether a year or a decade ahead, you see this worry for what it is, a passing phase in the vast timeline of your life. For example, if you're anxious about a work presentation, ask yourself if this worry will hold any relevance in a year. Chances are it won't, and you'll feel a sense of lightness as the weight of the moment lifts. Why does Stoicism emphasize reflecting on life's transience as a remedy for overthinking? Stoicism encourages us to embrace life's impermanence as a tool for inner peace. Recognizing the temporary nature of our struggles allows us to release attachment to worries that cloud our thoughts and prevents us from fully experiencing the present. This perspective doesn't diminish life's challenges, but helps us meet them with a calm, steady mind. When we realize that most concerns will fade with time, we free ourselves from overthinking, allowing space for appreciation and presence. Each time you feel overwhelmed by worry, ask yourself, will this matter a year from now? The answer often reveals that our anxieties are temporary, helping us release them and focus on what truly matters. Reflecting on transience is a powerful Stoic tool, one that replaces overthinking with a sense of peace and acceptance. With a clearer view of life's transience, we now turn to a Stoic practice that involves seeking wisdom beyond ourselves. In the final technique, we'll explore how connecting with others or seeking guidance can help us escape the confines of our own minds. Let's continue. 10. Seek wisdom from outside yourself. Are you willing to ask for help when your mind becomes a maze? Sometimes, overthinking traps us within the confines of our own minds, making it difficult to see the bigger picture. In such moments, Stoicism reminds us of the power of seeking wisdom from outside ourselves. As social beings, we have access to the perspectives, experiences, and insights of others, resources that can help us break free from self-imposed mental loops. Seneca, a revered Stoic, encouraged us to consult a friend on everything, especially on those matters concerning yourself. This timeless advice suggests that sometimes clarity comes not from within, but from the shared wisdom of others. Stoicism teaches us that we are not alone in our challenges. Seeking guidance, whether from a trusted friend, mentor, or even a book, can open our minds to new perspectives. By articulating our thoughts to others, we gain distance from our worries, often realizing they are less complex than they first appeared. This simple act of sharing our inner concerns brings relief, and the external perspective helps us to see beyond our own habitual patterns of thought. How can you apply this practice in a practical way? The next time you find yourself caught in overthinking, reach out to someone whose opinion you trust. Share your thoughts and listen to their perspective. Sometimes, simply hearing your concerns spoken aloud is enough to provide clarity, and their response may highlight solutions or insights you hadn't considered. This act of opening up can reveal that what feels overwhelming alone becomes manageable when shared. Imagine facing a dilemma at work, unsure how to proceed and weighed down by a swirl of potential outcomes. By consulting a trusted colleague or mentor, you gain an objective view. Their input can simplify your decision, shifting your perspective and clearing the mental fog. You may also find that just discussing your thoughts reduces their weight, helping you break free from overthinking. Why does Stoicism encourage seeking wisdom from others as a tool against overthinking? In Stoic philosophy, wisdom is a virtue meant to be cultivated, not in isolation, but in community. Our judgments and perceptions can be limited, often clouded by personal biases and emotions. By inviting other viewpoints, we expand our understanding and remind ourselves that human connection is vital to navigating life's complexities. Seeking wisdom from outside ourselves isn't a sign of weakness. It's a practical acknowledgement of the collective strength we gain from others' experiences and insights. Each time you find yourself lost in overthinking, ask, who can I consult on this matter? This question opens the door to support and wisdom beyond your own mind, helping to dissolve the isolation that overthinking often creates. When we share our mental burdens, we lighten them, allowing overthinking to give way to clarity, connection, and insight. In this journey through 10 Stoic techniques, we've explored ways to address overthinking by cultivating resilience, embracing the present, and seeking wisdom from within and beyond ourselves. Stoicism offers not only tools for quieting the mind, but a path to a life grounded in purpose, balance, and peace. As you continue to practice these principles, you'll find that each step strengthens your mind, helping you face life's challenges with calm and clarity. If these techniques resonate with you, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Share your reflections in the comments below and let us know which Stoic practice speaks to you the most. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more insights on Stoicism, and share this wisdom with those who might benefit. Thank you for joining us on this path to a Stoic mind. May it bring you peace and strength.